Hey, what's up, everyone? I wanted to share with you a really cool tool for sales reps. I think it's mostly in software sales. Software sales. There's a company called Repvue, which ranks, and I'll show you guys how this company works. So I'll share my screen as well. There you go. So it's a company that ranks and gives you like the top companies to work for. So in technology sales, there's SDRs, which is like more of the entry level jobs, account executive for the folks who are closing the deals, account managers, so folks who are managing the client relationship after the deal close, client success, so the support, the people that are behind the scenes making everything work, sales engineers for um, like the technical folks that help you sell. And then you can look at different salaries. So for instance, if you want to go to enterprise account executive, right, which is where I'm at in my career, you can see that the median base is 125K, and on target earnings is what happens when you hit your quota. So most companies, software companies, have a 50-50 split. So that means you make $250,000 if you hit your number. Obviously, the goal in sales is to outperform your number, right? But at least it gives you like some sort of benchmark. Top performers are making close to 600K, and you could see that software sales has been struggling in this past year because of the macroeconomic conditions. We're only at almost a little bit past a third of reps are hitting their quota, which is about accurate from what I'm hearing. And then you can see that these are the base salaries, the distributions, right? So the majority of the base salaries for enterprise account executives are between this range, so 113 to 163. And then you can see the companies that have the highest paying jobs, right? And then you can look at the score as well. So honestly, a 72 point is pretty low. So yes, even though the average salary is higher, it might benefit you to take a 25K pay cut, but you're working for a company that has 80 compared to 72. And what do these scores mean? So I'm gonna run you through an exercise that I just did. On the 7 companies I've worked for that have scores on Repvue, and just how my perspective on how accurate Repvue is. And based on this, I would conclude that it is pretty accurate, actually, based on the companies I worked at. And there's 5 criteria that they look at, right? So Udemy had the highest score, which is actually one of the reasons why I chose them. But they had 37 employees that ranked them. So it has an 87 point. So it's in the top 10% of companies. So that's pretty good. So you could see that this is how they ranked it, which makes sense based on my evaluation. The most challenging part was lead flow, opportunity flow. And you'll see that that's actually a common one with a lot of companies. So it's not just Udemy that's struggling with that, but just something to be mindful of. And yes, I think one of the reasons why it's so high is because the compensation is very attractive. It's a pretty solid product, good leadership, a lot of training, pretty structured training, and about half the people hit their quota, which is good. You can see that the average in the education industry is 48%. So the next company I'll show you is LinkedIn, which is second out of the 7 out of all the companies I've worked at. So you could see that LinkedIn is still pretty high. It is 86.91, which is still in the top percent, which I actually agree. I think LinkedIn probably, the reason why it's so high is because, yeah, I would say the base and you're not getting paid as much as like some of the top tier tech companies, but product market fit it's amazing. It has amazing products, a ton of training, super diverse. That's one of the main reasons why I enjoyed working there. And then the leadership is amazing as well. Probably the best leadership and culture I've seen at all the companies I've worked at. And So the third best company that I've worked at is Trynet, and that has a score of 75.91. So what does that mean? It's definitely not in the top 10 or 20th percentile, but it's still pretty decent. So I personally really enjoyed, and I agree, I think the diversity inclusion is one of the attractive parts about this company, but the base compensation was really good for where I was at, which is relatively earlier on in my career. Um, and yeah, so far I would say Repvue has been pretty accurate. And then Coach Hub is number 4. Um, which is, oh crap, sorry. SHI was number 3. And that was like super earlier on in my career. So I'm sure a lot has changed since then, but I would say even looking at this is pretty accurate. The base was low. Um, yeah, it was really good for work-life balance, honestly. Great company starting if you're more junior in your career, and a good bounce board. So Trinet was actually number 4, and Coach Hub is number 5. It has a 75.22. So yeah, I agree. One of the reasons why I joined is because it did have a really attractive base and incentive. And I mean, it's still pretty high out of, relatively speaking, out of education orgs in terms of the base and incentives. Um, but yeah, I would say it's pretty spot on. Not a lot of reps were able to perform well, I would say, at Coach Hub, especially in the US. I think outside the US, it was fine though. And then number 6 on my list is Cheetah Digital. I was an enterprise SDR. And yes, I would say diversity inclusion was pretty bad. One of the reasons why I accepted that offer, a headhunter reached out to me, was because the base and the incentives are the highest that I've ever seen for an SDR. So thank you, Cheetah Digital, for teaching me how to prospect. And last is Yelp. Yelp was super early on in my career. I did not last long there, even though I did do well. Yeah, it was they were hiring folks straight out of college. So I was probably one of the oldest salesperson that was there. So yeah, base was horrible. You can see it's like almost last. And yeah, it had really good training though. I do appreciate like the training that was really helpful. I'll never forget one of the trainings. They said, keep it simple, stupid. So that was funny. But yeah, so I just wanted to let you know about my takeaways from the accuracy of Repvue. I would say, oh, all in all, it is pretty accurate. Let me know your thoughts on what you think based on the companies you've worked at and their scores that they received on Repvue. Cheers. Feel free to post any questions in the channel, and please hit subscribe and like. It helps me and helps this. If you're able to find value through this, please let me know. Cheers.